result of later on the election and the Green Revolution, they're calling it. Well, people just called it riots in the streets. The Green ones are followers of Musavi, and we found that many of our friends, the ones I was showing you, have been with them. But it got quite violent, but they're insisting on nonviolence. And they seem to be doing pretty well at it. Okay, this is the next issue here. This got in here because I was just recently in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, because I've been, ever since being in somewhat of America's nuclear forces, I've been always concerned about the war of nuclear bombs. And so I always wanted to go to Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and just to get the conviction that they have that this should never happen again. They don't have their bitterness, but they have the conviction that this never should happen again. And it just reminded me, as it reminds us, when we're talking about nuclear war with Iran and many other places developing all new nuclear weapons, that there's a horrible price to pay. A horrible, horrible price to pay. I spent nights overnight in the parks and visiting the ruins. This was a peace march the last night up to the Urakami Cathedral, the heart of Christendom in Nagasaki, for that part of Asia, which was destroyed. The Pope visiting, saying we've got to stop that. So then ongoing work. Not enough to think about that we might be getting bunker busters or something, but then we came back. I've been very involved through the years. Some of you have been to the Nevada test site, where for over 20 years we have worked to stop testing there, because that's the leading edge of nuclear expansion. And we did go there and found that right up the street there, they had started some new planes. And all of a sudden we found out that they were these personnel of aerial vehicles. And they were, this is one of them here, the Reaper. Now just look at that picture. This is our latest technology in airspace. The MQ-9 Reaper. And look at what they named. The government names it this, hunter-killer platform. Now here I'm talking about being there in Iran, for example, and people just talking about peace and nonviolence, and we're worried about that their president uses some pretty strong language. But look at this. We're sending over to that part of the world drones, unmanned persons, called hunter-killer platforms. Hunter-killer platform. And flying those are these young people. They're being trained right here at the academy to be, probably at least half of them, they say, will be flying drones. And the Air Force is looking at ultimately all of them, that we can engage in our war from a far distance away. We'll come back to talking about this a little bit when I stop the films, which will be pretty quickly here. And just the thought of that we are sitting here in the United States, and we are sending these planes thousands of miles away, bounced off of space, off of satellites, and they are going to other parts of the world through the heavens, you might say, at least the messages and the pictures guiding them, and through the night, etc. They are going there as hunter-killer platforms. Who should we kill today? And we know that the statistics are that 96% of those casualties are not valued targets. A valued target is Taliban, and only 4 out of 100 hit the Taliban, and the rest hit civilians, and many of those have been women, children. One that I thought was especially sensitive, if you want to say it, is that they found some people in a truck, and they blew up the truck, and came the next day and dropped a bomb on the funeral. I mean, what does that say about our morality? So the drones are now, this is a map showing that all the targets of Creech so far. From Creech is the headquarters right near the Nevada test site, 40 miles north of Las Vegas. People live in Las Vegas, go out there, come home. There's, in each crew, there's one that's a pilot, usually an older, more experienced, but now they're starting with them really quite fresh in the Air Force too. And then the one who's what they call the sensor operator, which operates the cameras, but most particularly the lasers that guide the Hellfire missiles, are just out of basic, like 19 years old at Seltra, and the only experience they have are the arcades. And they're going to all these various targets, but they're not only from Creech, but now all over the Southwest. I don't know if there are any in This is another one called the Predator. So we have Predator, Reaper. The Reapers are quite larger than the Predator, and the Avenger. What is our message? Round the drones lest we reap the whirlwind. This was a group of Kathy Kelly's people were all gathered with us out there. We were there just before Easter, several of them. Round the drones lest we reap the whirlwind. Scriptural quote, meaning the whirlwind is the end of the world. And will that happen? Will the drone war lead to nuclear war? And people very much believe, Jonathan Shella said it, they're spreading so widely that somebody one of these days is going to set something off, and then what will be the response to that? Will it be the whirlwind? And we had signs like this, and people came out from Creech, and they stopped and they said, well, we're the ones who, one we had said, grounded, we don't hear the cry of the poor for the drones drown out the cry of the poor as a hellfire missile strike them, something like that. Oh, we dropped the bombs, etc. Really sad. And this is real time. This is, a long way away, a long time later, and already they're having a post-traumatic stress disorder. The commander himself said, I think they stopped him from saying it, that he had to get more chaplains and more psychologists to help them. And the chaplain himself told me that because of the, that comes back to you and haunt you. P.J. Singer, who wrote a really good book, if you're interested in that, on robotics, all these weapons, and he was on Amy Goodman and such. And he said somebody sent him, this war porn stuff they put on YouTube on this drone attack, and you could see the body parts. Well, these guys see that, and they just dropped the bomb. This is the entryway there, and we were being arrested because we tried to bring a message. We brought pizza, we brought Cokes, and they arrested us. What friendliness is that? We got all these people greeting us in Iran, and what happens with our own Air Force? Through these gates past America's finest warriors. Yeah, right. I don't think so, most people are kind of like, is this fair fight? A fair fight? We're 7,000 miles away. We can't strike back. Even David and Goliath, even David didn't have that kind of odds against him. He had to throw a rock 7,000 miles to get even. Slingshot had to take a really big slingshot. Well, we invented the slingshot. We have a better mousetrap. We have a better slingshot. The planes, by the way, are in Afghanistan, but the arcade, the little booth, is there at Creech or in other places in this country. So we tried to go through to talk to them, and they really shut us down. And then they did arrest us. So we still are facing some trials.